what we call a mixture problem. This is where you might actually use this kind of algebra one day if you ever want to mix something. So the question is, how many pounds of the cheap stuff at $4 a pound must be mixed with how much of the good stuff for $10 a pound, such that you're going to create a total batch of 30 pounds that costs $6 per pound. This is when you would draw this graph, right? These little boxes, they help a lot in algebra. So the column heads are the amount, cost, total. The rows are the different types, right? The cheap coffee, the Excelente coffee, and then the total is down here. So let's look at the units. The amount is going to be in pounds. The cost is how much one single unit cost, and the total is the total value. So in other words, if you had 15 pounds at $10 a pound, the value of that would be 15 times 10, or $250. Okay, so that's how this works. So we're going to go back to the question and try to garnish as much information as we can from it. And that 4 jumped up there by itself. But let's go back to the question. Right, the cheapo is $4 a pound, Excelente is $10 a pound, and the final product is $6 a pound. So there's the 4. Right, El Cheapo costs $4 a pound, El Excelente is $10 a pound, and the finished product, he wants it to be $6 a pound. So that part's the easy part. What else do we know? Let's go back to the question. They want a finished product of 30 pounds, okay? So if they want 30 pounds, that's going to be this number here in this total box, right? They want a total of 30 pounds. So if you have 30 pounds that cost $6 a pound, the total value of the new stuff is going to cost $180. All right, this is where it gets a little bit strange, but this is what I want you to do. I want you to feel your brain, okay? We're going to go ahead and play around with the pounds. Right? So here's the pounds columns. So let's just pick a number, all right? Let's just pretend there's 5 pounds of the cheap stuff. If there are 5 pounds of the cheap stuff, how much of the Excelente must there be, right? Remember, they have to sum to 30. So 5 plus whatever this number has to be 30, and that's the same as 30 minus 5, right? 30 minus 5 is 25. Double check. Is 5 plus 25 30? By gum, it is. Pick a second number. What if it was 17 pounds of the cheap coffee? How many pounds of XL? Right? Again, you're going to do 30 minus whatever number you put in this box, 17, because that will sum to 30. So here comes the algebra part. What do we call a value that we're not sure of? We call it a variable. And you can call it X. It doesn't have to be X, but let's just call it X. So let's pretend we have X pounds of El Cheapo. How much will we have of Excelente? So go back. What did we do when it was 5? Right? We subtracted it from 30. What did we do when it was 17? We subtracted it from 30. So what are we going to do when it's X? We're going to subtract it from 30, okay? That's the pattern I want you guys to develop, okay? So now we know the pounds in the amount measured by a variable. So the total cost over here, the total value, again, if this was 7 pounds, 7 times 4 would be $28. That would be the total value, 7 times 4. But we don't know what this is as a value, but we do know how to multiply a constant, a regular number, times a variable. Right? 4 times x is 4x. And then 30 minus x times 10 is just 10 times 30 minus x. This is what we got to realize now is these total values, right? If you spend $28 on El Cheapo and whatever this is here, this amount plus this amount should equal 180. So we have an algebraic expression here, right? It's going to be 4x plus 10 times 30 minus x has to equal 180, right? That's from this last column. And then the rest they say is algebra. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply out this middle term and add like terms, right? 4x plus negative 10x is negative 6x. I'm going to subtract 300 from both sides. After I make it a little bigger. 300 subtract it from both sides, give you this. Divide by -6 gives you this. So we know what x is. X equals 20. Let's go back to our matrix here. And every time we see an x, we're going to substitute it for 20. So that means we got 20 pounds of El Cheapo. 30 minus 20 is 10. But let's double check on the pounds. 20 plus 10 is 30. Got that part right. Okay, so now let's figure out what the cost is. So 4 times 20, right? 4 times 20 is 80. So 30 minus 20 is 10. 10 times 10 is 100. Does 80 plus 100 equal 180? It certainly does. So I think we got the answers here. Bam. It looks like you're going to get 20 pounds of El Cheapo and 10 pounds of Excelente. And if you mix that together, you're going to get a 30-pound batch that costs you about $6 a pound on average there. So, but that's it. I think I'm going to have a cup of coffee. MGZ out.